Okay, 32. Um, in exercise 138, you examine the nightly study time claimed for first year college men and women. The most common methods for formal comparison of the two groups use X bar and S to summarize the data. Remember, X bar, that's the average or mean. We use mean more often than average. And S is the standard deviation. And what is standard deviation? Standard deviation is the essentially the average deviation away from the mean, the average distance from the mean that your data lies. So it's dependent on the average. These two go together. This measures the spread. This measures the center of the data. So what kinds of distributions are best summarized by these two? A, the best distributions are ones that are unimodal and symmetric. And those are ones that look like this. And those are ones without outliers, because when you have outliers or skew, these two things will greatly affect, as we talked in class, the mean. Okay, so we don't want to have anything that has outliers or skew. And those are the unimodal ones or the symmetric distributions for A. B, one student in each group claimed to study at least 300 minutes per night, 5 hours a night. That's crazy. How much does remove, unless I guess you're a doctor or something, how much does removing these observations change X bar for each group? Um, since these are outliers, um, 300 are outliers. So they will greatly affect X bar and S, right? And they're outliers because I'm looking at the data, and as I look at the data, the highest data next to 300, there's a couple of 240s for the men anyway, and then the rest, there's a 200, and the rest are in the hundreds and below. So they're going to drastically affect the males and the females. So that's a huge amount. So the question is, how much of a difference will they affect, which is what they're asking for. Well, that's for you to calculate um, what is X bar and what is S with 300, and then do it without 300. Without 300, what's X bar and what's S? Okay, so I'm going to do something here that I just added on here so you could actually see this. So if I want to check out for the men, let's just do this. I guess I got to turn it on. Stat, enter. So I'm going to put all of the men's data in real quick. In fact, you don't have to watch me put it in, so I'm going to pause it and put the data in. Okay, I just put all the data in list 1 for the men, and I'm just going to do one example here for you to see, or the men's side, and then I'll let you put the women's side in. But I put the data in. I actually just put the men, the 300, and for the last entry here. So if I scroll up, it's going to let me do that. There we go. Oh, wow. Okay, so it scrolls all the way up to the top. I didn't know it would do that. Okay, I get my list of 30 men. And then to find the mean and standard deviation, stat. Oh, I don't know why it's doing that. Okay, unlock all buttons. There we go. Stat, calc, and then one variable stat. And then in this calculator, it asks me which list it is. If yours doesn't ask you that, it defaults to L1. As I go on here, see, look, there's my picture that I sent home to my family. So I can get off that. And when I was at a trip this weekend. So frequency list is 1. It's on alpha lock. See, I'm getting used to this calculator on my screen here. Turn off the alpha lock, put 1. Frequency list just tells you how often the data appears, or you want it to calculate the data. You want it to count each data one time, so I want that to be 1. Man, calculate. Oh, frequency list, it's asking you which list to use, and we're going to leave that blank. How about that? Calculate, go. There we go. So when I do this, X bar is 117. Don't worry, I'll get this down here. I keep hitting the wrong buttons with my fingers. X bar is 1. Oh, I see. When I do this, it closes it. 117.17. Sorry about that. I'll figure out how I can keep that on the screen and still work on this. And standard deviation, if I scroll down, oops, I don't have to scroll down that far, is this guy right here. Oh, I can't write on it. Is S sub x, I'm not sure if you can see my little cursor, but it's S sub x equals 74.24 if I round it. S of x, that's my standard deviation, 74.24. Now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to the data list, and we're going to eliminate that outlier. So I'm going to go down to the bottom of the list, which is all the way at the 30 pieces of data, and I'm going to delete that outlier, and we're going to see just how great that is. So delete, and I'm going to go stat, calc, one variable stat, calculate, and there's my average is now 110.86, and my standard deviation is 66.88. So question here is, did taking out that outlier really affect the mean that much? Yeah, by 7 points, and the standard deviation by 8 points there. So it did affect it quite a bit. So we want to be very careful. I'm not sure what just happened right there, 74.24. So we're going to be very careful when we have outliers in our data if we're going to use the mean and the standard deviation as measures of center and spread. Alright, so there you go on that one. See you next time.